Well, greetings, Boise State fans. Happy Thursday. That means Mike Prater is here with us. This is Bronco Nation News Live at bronconationnews.com, coming to you on the social media channels of both Bronco Nation News and 95.3 FM, The Ticket Today. You hear Mike Prater weekdays 3 to 6 with John Mallory and John Patrick right there at 95.3 FM, 1350 AM. You can download that KTIK app. You can go to KTIK.com. You can also do what I do, which is subscribe to that podcast on Apple iTunes. You can listen back to it. You guys get that thing posted like within 30 minutes of the show ending. So folks want to listen later, they can do that as well. Mike, we both got the Row Paint hats today, supporting our title sponsor here, rowpaint.com. But happy Thursday, man. How's it going?
I'm doing well, BJ. I do have one complaint, though. I'm that kind of employee that has a complaint right off the bat. I've noticed that the last couple of weeks, it's Mondays with Mallory. He's got this cute little catchphrase. I'm just Prater on a Thursday. I mean, is there something we can come up with for Prater on a Thursday?
We have to think of something. There's no day of the week that starts with P. And then Mallory took Monday instead of Mike, so we'll have to figure that out. What we can do. Yeah, we got Tuesdays with Tuss too. So yeah, we have two days that sound pretty good, and then we can think of something. Maybe folks can suggest something, but some of the words that might go with Thursday may not be too kind to either of us, so we'll have to see. But no, it should be appreciated, man. It should be fun, and we're right in the middle back of spring football again. I know you guys were all over it on your show yesterday, and had Khalil Shakir and some of the other audio on there. We're going to hear some of that today as well. But was one of those days yesterday, Mike, where you're out there kind of rubbing elbows with NFL scouts, a couple position coaches, and a big day for 8 former Boise State football players.
I love Pro Day. It's kind of tedious. You kind of stand around and there's a lot of free dead time, but that's the best part of it, is because there are half the National Football League teams are associated with Pro Day. Sometimes, depending on the draw of players, there's every single team is here, but I think roughly half were here yesterday. And, some scouts, some assistant coaches. You see some local celebrities hanging out like Chuck Pagano and Dirk Cutter and some of these other old football guys. A lot of football guys are coming back. And seeing teammates for the first time in a long time. There's a lot of camaraderie. It's kind of like football club on Thursdays, or Wednesdays or whatever day it was yesterday. And it was kind of fun. And on top of that, yes, 8 Boise State football players are trying to carve out their futures as professional football players. And I got some thoughts and opinions. I know you do as well. It was just the Khalil Shakir show, but there were some other guys that really impressed me yesterday.
Yeah, I thought Daniel Cantrell maybe helped himself at long snapper. There were some other guys as well, but you mentioned Khalil Shakir, and obviously he was the headliner yesterday, Mike, with everyone, all eyes on him. And overall, I thought he did nothing to hurt himself. 38.5-inch vertical leap. He also surpassed the 10 feet 4 inches in the broad jump, and then you see him here 16 reps on the bench press for Khalil Shakir, and then as we'll see in a little bit here, some of his on-field workouts. I don't think he dropped the pass, and looks pretty impressive with Taylon Green thrown to him. What were your overall impressions of Khalil Shakir yesterday?
I think he's getting better. Every time we see him, he's getting better, and we saw him at the combine with that 40-yard dash. He didn't run the 40 yesterday, but why would you after what he did? And what he did yesterday was 16 in the bench press and, 4 inches on the vertical. Are you kidding me? My entire vertical is 4 inches if I'm lucky on a good day off a trampoline, and he improved his by 4 inches yesterday. It's still not elite like some of these other guys, 40 plus, but 38.5 is really, really good. He ran around all day without his shirt on. He looks ripped. He looks beefed up. Looks like he's maybe added 5 or 10 pounds of muscle. I think Khalil Shakir is NFL ready. He's got his mind cleared with the, engagement with his girlfriend. So this dude has got everything on the table. He's got everything cleared. He can kind of breathe and relax and do what he has to do for the next couple of weeks, and then the draft. And this guy's off and running. I can't wait to see what happens.
And he looked chiseled yesterday. I mean, he looked like he was in great shape. We saw his agents there. His mom was there. Obviously got engaged the day before, which was kind of a cool side story for him, that he said he never gets nervous except when he's there at Lucky Peak proposing to his now fiance. But what do you make of where we sit a couple weeks from the draft and his draft stock? Where are you still thinking it looks like in terms of the round? He's obviously not going to get into the first round. There's just too many good receivers in this draft, but I still think he's in position to be a day 2 pick there somewhere in the second or third round.
To be in the draft, probably the deepest draft in the history of the NFL when it comes to wide receivers. 6 guys in the first round are targeted there. We'll see how it shakes out. I don't know if it's going to be 5. I don't know if it's going to be 7, but I firmly believe that Khalil Shakir will go that second day. Maybe the second round would surprise me a little bit. I'm targeting him for the third round. And if he ended up going on Saturday, that would definitely surprise me. So I think a couple of these teams, it's always hard to say. The Jaguars and the Patriots were really all over him yesterday. We've been to enough pro days where these scouts are all over these kids and then nothing materializes on draft day. And then the one team that nobody ever talked to is the one that drafts them. So let's not get too carried away with what happened yesterday. But I think he's a second-day guy. I think he's locked in hard as a second-day guy, BJ.
Sean Cook chiming in saying Shakir to the 49ers in round 2 is either his pick or what he wants there. Yeah, I mean, there's no shame in third round. I mean, you go on day 2, that's a big deal. I mean, Alexander Madison was a third-round pick. Boise State's had a ton of those guys. Darian Thompson. That you can, if you're third round, you're day 2 is a big difference, I do think, from having to go to sleep for a second night waiting to hear your name on day 3. But yeah, I mean, what is he, 12th or 13th on some of these wide receiver lists? I mean, I haven't studied all 12 of the guys ahead of them, but they must be amazing players to have 12 receivers potentially better than Khalil Shakir in this draft. And yeah, I mean, he talked yesterday, and we'll hear from it here in a second. But his versatility. Bob asked him, "What do you want to show teams?" And he said, "The fact that I lined up in Wildcat, I lined up at running back, I lined up in the slot, I lined up at all the different receiver spots." I mean, that was the first time I remember, Mike, in my 9 years coming to Pro Day yesterday, they brought out the jugs machine and had him doing punt return, drills, and I haven't seen that by anybody before. So he certainly does have that versatility and can be used in a lot of ways, which I think does make him a valuable asset for a lot of teams.
I think it's the most valuable position in the National Football League right now, outside of an edge rusher and a quarterback. The popularity of the wide receiver in the National Football League is unbelievable. And they're asking quarterbacks and running backs and wide receivers to be more mobile and more diverse than ever before. And Khalil likes to remind us as many times as he possibly can. The first touchdown I ever scored at Boise State was in the Wildcat position. It was running the football. I think it was a conference game against Wyoming, but he certainly can fill that role. There's the absolute need and an absolute niche in the NFL right now for players like him. So that's why I don't care if he was probably 15th or 18th rated, which would be crazy. I think he's still going to go based on what he can do. He's going to go second day, BJ.
Here's Khalil Shakir yesterday talking about his performance at the Pro Day.
You think it went today, Khalil?
Well, to be back in Boise, first of all, is a blessing. Getting out here, running routes out here, being back in the indoor, home turf, want to be out on the blue, but get in the indoor and just run some routes and, throw a tail in again and connect with some of those guys. And it was just a blessing to be here. So great opportunity.
You think about the buzz you've had, from the Senior Bowl to the Combine to this. I mean, do you feel like you've done everything you could have done to put yourself in the best position for the draft?
Yeah, I mean, I try not to think too much and, after Senior Bowl, sit there and be like, damn, did I do enough? Did I not do enough? I try not to think like that, man. Just go out there, do what I do, get out on the field and just show what I can do, showcase my talents. And at the end of the day, I'm gonna leave it all out there on the field, and I'm happy with whatever it is that I've done up until this point. So like I said, it's a blessing to be here. I'm happy with how today went and the whole process going. Just got another month, and God willing, I'll land somewhere where I'm supposed to be at. So
when you meet with teams, what do you want to get across to them about why maybe you would be the one for them to choose?
Just showing them my versatility. You know what I'm saying? If you go back all 4 years here, my first touchdown, I was in the back, or I was in Wildcat against Wyoming, so just showing them ever since I got here, I move around. I'm in Wildcat, I'm running back, then next play slot, then the next play playing X or Z. So just showing them, that when I'm on the field, you can put me anywhere and I'm a perform at an elite level. So no matter where you put me, I'm comfortable with doing it. I'm not just telling that. I got the film to back it up, and the versatility's there. Use me how you want to. So just trying to get that point across, and at the end of the day, I'm a playmaker wherever I'm at.
I will say this, Mike, gonna miss covering Khalil Shakir. He was, became one of the captains, one of the team leaders, one of the guys they trotted out there almost on a weekly basis to the media last year. And I'd have to count, but I think I attended every single one of the games in his career the last 4 years. I don't think I missed any. And, for some of the catches and just some of the plays, and, he was just a heck of a player. He's one of the all-time greats here. I think he's fourth in receiving yards, fifth in catches. He's going to be tough to replace, but I know a lot of Boise State fans, including us in the media, sad to see him go, but looking forward to his future.
He's a great football player. We've all come to that conclusion, but getting to know him a little bit, and we never really know these people, but I have a pretty good idea of what kind of character Khalil Shakir is, as do you, as does anybody that spent a little bit of time with him. He's definitely the poster boy of this past football team and a great ambassador for this football program in the future. I think he's a cool dude. I really appreciate and enjoy spending time around him. He's always got a smile on his face. His favorite word is chill. He just likes to chill. He likes to be chill. And that's my kind of guy. Don't get too uptight about things. Leave that kind of stuff to guys like you and me who can get out there and do what we have to do. But he's got the great approach. He's got the great mental approach. He's always talking about mental health. This dude's very transparent. I don't think he leaves any toxic bones inside his body. He gets them out one way or the other and just goes about his business. And we could all learn a lesson from that, BJ.
Hey, Transportation Compliance Service, if you're looking for a career change or a fresh start, why not get into the trucking industry? It's a local company here, but they help companies all and individuals all around the world get set up with all the proper permits and things that you need. It's much easier than you think if you let Transportation Compliance Service help you to get out there and towing that first load. You can get more information, transcompservice.com, but all the DOT permits, all the stuff you need, Transportation Compliance Service, and help you get on the road as quickly as possible. United Commercial Insurance as well, making business insurance easy. They're a local company here, but they can write business policies in 44 states around the country. So if you own a business and you're not happy with your business insurance or just want to see if you can get a better rate, give them a call. 229-8222, UnitedCommercialInsurance.com. And Boise Dentistry Co., another great supporter of ours here at Bronco Nation News, locations across the Treasure Valley. I know going to the dentist sometimes isn't fun, Mike, but you can talk sports with Dr. Meinert, big BSU fan. He's going to be playing in the golf tournament next in a month here or 2 months. So Boise Dentistry Co.com is the website. You can get more information. And again, our family's made the switch. Those are my kids on the screen there. So Boise Dentistry Co., great supporters here of Bronco Nation News. We do have a suggestion coming in, Mike. Rudy says, what about ponderings with Prater?
I like it. I like it. There's a lot of different P words out there that are associated with Prater that are a lot less flattering. So ponderings, sure, bring it on. I like it.
Thursday ponderings with Prater. Yeah, we'll have to see. Keep the suggestions coming. Mike, let's touch on some of the other guys at Pro Day and what stood out to you. And I want to start with Kekala Kaniho, because from a stat standpoint, he clearly has the stats and was clearly a guy that if he was 6'4" or 6'5", he'd be a first or second round pick. He's just small for NFL standards, but what he did in the games played, obviously the most games played, I think, in Boise State history, what he did with all the different stats and interceptions and tackles. I mean, he's clearly another guy that's going to be really hard for Boise State to replace, but he had some oohs and ahs during some of his workouts today or yesterday, and put up, some decent numbers as well. He did not do the bench press, which I think was probably by design and worked out okay for him. But he had the best 3-cone drill time. His shuttle time, 40-yard dash times weren't that bad. 4.5 40-yard dash. And then I want to say he had like a 34.5-inch vertical as well. So, and there was a couple nice plays in the field drills that I saw, heard his teammates oohing and on for. What do you make of Kaniho and his chances, and if he helped himself yesterday?
I think he did help himself. I think he's helped himself over the last 2 months. His body's a little bit different, a little bit thicker, a little bit tighter. You can tell that he's put a lot of work in getting to this point. But, I think it still comes down to size. Every time I say that he's not going to get drafted because of his size, I'm reminded by either the knuckleheads here in the building or listeners on the show that 2 words, Dante Dion. Now, it just takes one team.
I thought you were going to say Avery Williams.
Well, Avery Williams certainly isn't very big either, but his niche role, he can get away with it with his niche role. Kaniho's going to have to go out and take on the DK Metcalfs of the world. Let's just leave it at that. And that's going to be a very tall task for him. No pun intended there. I think Kaniho's done everything he possibly can. When he goes through this process, regardless of what happens, he's going to look back and say, I left nothing on the table, mentally, physically, whatever it took. I did everything I could to get there. And God just didn't give him a body to go play in the National Football League. So he might get a tryout in a camp. He might get in a camp for a couple of weeks. He might linger all summer long. I can't see him making a roster again because of his size, but let's not forget Dante Dion.
Here's Kekala talking yesterday about his Pro Day.
Come out and prove to the scouts today.
I think really I was just trying to prove it to myself. I could be the best version of myself today. And I felt good about that I did that. So, from here, I just wait, and whoever gives me an opportunity, I'll be more than thankful to go and play ball. So I'm glad this part's done, check this box off, and now I'll get back to football.
Where have you been training up till today?
I was at Bommarito Performance Systems down in Florida. So the place I was at was Davey. He has 2 facilities, but Avery Williams was there last year. So kind of followed after him, seeing his results. So it was good.
Do you feel like you're a guy that you just need someone to give you a shot? I mean, just let you get that foot in the door and you can do the rest?
Yeah, definitely. I just need an opportunity to get into a building and, show them the person and leader that I can be in that locker room and do the best I can on the football field. That's what I came to do, is play ball. So now that this running stuff is done, now we can start playing football again for sure.
You happy with what you put up today?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like I did my best, and that's all, I can do. So I'm happy with that.
One of the shuttle drills, or one of the drills, you were like fired up, you're screaming and stuff when you were done.
Oh, yeah.
What was today like for you?
It was a ton of fun. Just like I've been working up to this point for 3 months now. So to just come out, compete, and you kind of, want to prove to yourself you can hit the numbers that you think you can. So to be able to perform like that and feel really good about, my runs and things like that were really good.
This football it's a weird game. I mean, if you were 6'5", you could be a first-round pick. I mean, this is crazy. I mean, you obviously have the stats to back it up. I mean, what do you feel like when you're talking to these teams and stuff that you bring to the table, why they should take a chance on you?
Yeah, I mean, it's been kind of the same story out of high school. The recruiting game in high school was the same way, just a little too small, a little too this, a little too that. So I know that when I just get that opportunity, I'll do my best every single day to be a professional, show up, keep football the main thing, and put everything I can into that, And however that is, what my role is on the team, special teams, being a guy on defense that can step in and play, I'm good with whatever. So just fulfilling that role that they have for me.
And are you confident you're going to get that shot?
Yeah, I believe so.
There he is, Mike. Okay, call. Can you? I mean, what else is he going to say? No one's going to give me a shot. But yeah, I mean, I think he does probably. I think they, it hurt. Guys like him were hurt the last couple of years with the pandemic. They didn't really have those mini camp tryouts after the draft. I think a lot of those will be back this year. So they have the rookie mini camp for all the players that got drafted, and then they have the free agent deals. They all go to this rookie mini camp. Then they have the tryout where they bring in another group of guys that they maybe sign 2 or 3 of them, for the rest of the summer. So Canillo's a guy that we think, I think at least probably because of the stats, gets a flyer for a tryout for one of the weekends, and then we'll kind of see what happens from there. But, who else? There were some other guys at Pro Day yesterday. Jake Stetz is an interesting story, being a guy that was had a serious injury and was able to come back in just a couple of months and do what he did. I mean, Uzo Usuji ran way better time than I expected him to, and I think had like 26 reps on the bench press. He tested really well, but obviously, didn't have the greatest results on the field. I know Cyrus Habibi-Likio was 4.58 in the 40. And did some things out there at the receiver drills and the running back drills. Octavius Evans, I mean, that's a guy for me, Prater, that he just looks like an NFL body. I mean, at times you're looking at him and Khalil Shakir, and they look like, both those guys look like guys that could be out there playing. And he had a 4.49 40-yard dash, the best time of the day, also the best shuttle of the day, 3.95. He was pretty good in some of the other numbers as well, a 9 feet 10-inch broad jump. The vertical was 34.5 as well. And then obviously the specialists, you had Cantrell out there at long snapping. Joel Velasquez did kicking and punting. And on the final kick, the scout running pro day from the Falcons told him, hey, go back as far as you can, but you have to win the game here. And you do get more points for being further back, but you have to win the game with this wind. And they were going right into a stiff wind. Where do you feel comfortable from? And he went to 54 yards and he drained it with ease. It hit the stands, behind the thing. And so, I know they occasionally called him the long field goal kicker, or he came out there and made a couple, but the versatility of Joel Velasquez as a punter, as a kicker, and even as the kickoff man may help him get into camp as well. I did a lot of rambling there, but other than Shakir and maybe Canillo, the other 6 guys, what's your takes there?
Well, Stetz was my most favorite guy to watch yesterday, and I thought he came through with I have no idea what the future holds for a guy like that. It's obviously a big, long shot, but when I first walked into Pro Day yesterday and saw him for the first time in 3 months, he was still limping. He had a big compression sleeve on his right leg. It was his right leg, I believe. And he was limping. I mean, I don't think he was limping. That's probably not fair. His gait was still just a little bit awkward coming off that surgery. And I went up to one of the trainers. I said, is he working out today? He's doing everything. He's running. He's doing the 4. I go, what? Are you kidding me? And he did. And I followed him around. And, his vertical wasn't very, very good. His probably should have passed on that one, but everything else he did, lots of guts. He was very explosive. He was very aggressive. He looks like he's trimmed down his body just a little bit. So I think Jake Stetz, I hope that guy gets a camp shot because I was really impressed with what he did. And Cantrell,
Well, hold on. Let me say something about Stetz first. He was supposed to have an 8-month recovery. The doctors initially told him, and he was back in 4 months, able to do all this stuff today. They switched up the surgery or something. Maybe didn't actually put any kind of like he had a broken bone, and then he had a knee injury, and it sounded pretty severe. But they didn't put any kind of plate or anything in there, which would have extended the rehab time. They kind of just I don't know. I don't say a quick fix, but they tried a different type of surgery to try to get him back out there. And he said about 3 weeks ago, he was told by the doctor that he would be cleared to participate in pro day. And yeah, I mean, he's obviously at center too, Mike. He's a guy that played some different positions last year and had to come in and play center at times. And that's probably because of what is he only 6'2" or something. He's not the tallest guy. He probably profiles best as a center, and getting to do that some last year probably helped his tape. But yeah, he is an interesting guy for me, and I do think he's probably a guy that at least gets into a camp.
I think Cantrell gets into a camp too as a long snapper, and long snappers aren't sexy, but I think that guy is rock solid. I followed a couple of the drills, and some of these NFL guys say, okay, and I don't know, what is he, 15, 18 yards back or whatever it is, and they say your target is the punter's right hip, and just to get down there. To spin that ball the way he does it, the power that he does it, he nails the right hip every single time. I keep thinking way back to the day of, I know this is Bronco Nation news, but Jeff Robinson was an Idaho Vandal football player, a very good one. And he carved out a niche for himself as a long snapper in the NFL for like 10 to 12 years. If you can get that niche done right and you can get it taken care of, and I think Cantrell's got a chance. I really do think that Cantrell might have the second or the third best chance to get into an NFL camp out of everybody we saw yesterday. So I cannot wait to see how that one plays out as well.
What do you make of Octavius Evans' case? He has the size, he has the physical tools. For whatever reason, just the injuries, he had some personal reasons. He just never put together the career at Boise State that many thought after that freshman year when he kind of burst on the scene that he had a chance to be, but was able to put some tape together this last season. And then again, the measurables are pretty good, and he tested pretty well. Any chance we see him get into a camp?
I think so. And maybe we're getting a little too optimistic here, but the one word that keeps arising about him is mystery. I mean, it's the same word that we had in terms of covering his career. It's a great mystery. Now we have this great mystery about what he's going to be like as a pro. Wouldn't it be weird if all of a sudden he turned out to be the one guy that was really, really good in the National Football League, a journeyman, going out there taking care of business and doing what he has to do after this great mystery career at Boise State, never living up to the hype. So I think it's still the same status quo with Octavius Evans. It's a great mystery. I have no idea where he's going to go, but yeah, he tested good. He looked good. He was more impressive to me yesterday than I've ever seen him before, up close and personal, because that's what we were doing yesterday. So I was impressed. I think he's got a shot, BJ.
And he could have come back for another year, as could Cyrus Habibi-Likio. Both those guys basically said they just felt the time was now, that the time was right. They were healthy. They just wanted to take their shot at it and see what happens. And best of luck to all 8 of those guys as they move forward, and we'll continue to talk about them. Hey, Ridley's Family Markets, shop Ridley's.com, 13 Idaho locations. They got the at-home shopping, the Skip app, the home delivery, all that great stuff. I frequent that Cuno location often. So when you're next time you're heading to the grocery store, think local, think Ridley's Family Markets. And speaking of local, the Blue and Orange store right there at Boise Town Square Mall, the blueandorangestore.com. They're going to be providing the prizes, Mike, if your team's lucky enough to win the golf tournament. The Blue and Orange store has some gift cards they'll be giving away. How about this? $100 gift card for each player that gets first place. So
nice.
We got some cool things there, but you can order online, the blueandorangestore.com, or you can go in there to the Boise Town Square Mall, the Blue and Orange store. It's right next to Pro Image there, and you can get your all your stuff in person there for the spring game, which is coming up a week from Saturday. I mentioned the golf tournament, Mike. Tickets are the registration is now open for subscribers. If you are a subscriber of Bronco Nation News, you get first crack at the registration for the tournament. You were sent an email, hopefully, but if you didn't get the email, you can email me at rains@bronconationnews.com, rains@bronconationnews.com, and I will send you the registration link. You can enter as a foursome. You can enter as an individual. We got some whole sponsorships and things available. And we still have Mike Prater available for a lucky foursome to get a chance to play with Mike for the tournament. So if that's something that interests you, reach out to me and we can make that happen. And again, June 3rd, it's at Timberstone Golf Course in Caldwell. Looking forward to that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Mike says I think Hank never had enough time to find Octavius. Who knows about that? But obviously, Octavius, it was hard to get, Octavius Evans the ball when it's going to Khalil Shakir as much as it did. That certainly played a big part of it. But I do want to talk briefly, Mike, about the future. And I guess we'll real quick play. We were running out of time here, but I'll play just the first bite of Andy Avalos talking about potential for next year's pro day, and then we'll hit on that real quick.
We definitely, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you guys. We're not going to have those conversations with you guys. You know that, Mike, but we have it with our players. It's an understanding between us. We keep it tight and make sure that we're organized in what we're doing and making sure that the guys understand, well, what does it look like? What did it look like for Shaq last year at this time? Those are conversations behind the scenes, and we are going to have a lot of guys that are participating in this event next year.
Do you see a lot of NFL talent on this year's roster then?
There's no question. Yeah, there is a lot of talent on this roster, and there's guys that, you know, are developing and that have already made a huge jump through the 9 practices in spring ball. And it's not only that, it's the winter conditioning and studying film and building their knowledge of the game and their position. And we have, you know, 4 more months for these guys to continue to grow and improve. And so that number, yeah, is it going to be, do we feel very confident about that? That's what we've been aiming to do, is build depth, not just in the fronts, but at all positions.
And you said 8 to 10 guys, and he kind of said, well, you know, time will tell, so to speak, Mike. But I know you're writing about this for the Idaho Press. What day? Saturday, Sunday? For the Idaho Press coming up about the, you know, we just got through this year's pro day, but next year's pro day could be even more special. Obviously, you got JL Skinner. You think Scott Matlock? I mean, what are you looking at in terms of you know, next year's pro day? Because you know, there's a potential to have a pretty star-studded event next year.
I have 11 guys on my list, and all 11 aren't going to make it, and maybe there's going to be some additions as well. But I think out of those 11, I think 4 to 5 to 6 range is going to be a lock in terms of getting him into pro day and getting him into mock drafts and potentially getting him into drafts. There is no doubt that the talent level, the elite talent level in this program drained the last couple of years under Brian Harsin, who still had a pretty good track record of putting players in the NFL. Let's not forget that. He had a nice track record, and in some cases, a better track record of putting players in the NFL than Chris Peterson. But it definitely tailed off there at the end, and I think it became very obvious last year in terms of Andy Avalos talking about dependable depth. Dependable depth, it doesn't necessarily mean the backup or the third-string center. It means elite talent on this football team, and I think this roster last year was void of elite talent. And I think there's some serious elite talent coming up. You know, I like the cornerbacks. One of those 2 cornerbacks I think might have a shot in terms of the reads. Skinner and Jones, I like the 2 safeties. There's somebody, maybe even a couple of people across the D-line that's going to be good. There's potential with Riley Smith at tight end. There's a couple of guys, especially OJ on the offensive line. You always have to consider a Boise State running back if they're going to be healthy and play well. Holani's going to be in there. Dalmas even flirted with the idea of going out early last year. And if he continues to be successful, how about Static Cobbs with his speed and what he does? He's definitely on that list. There are NFL players all over this roster, and I'm not sure we could say that last year, BJ.
Well, we don't have time to get into this. We'll have to read your column, but I didn't hear Hank Bachmeier's name on that list. That was
I did not put Hank Bachmeier
wow,
on the list.
If you don't have a 4-year starter at quarterback as one of your NFL guys, that certainly shows the increase in talent, no doubt about it, on the roster this year. So we'll be looking for that in the Idaho Press, Mike. We'll be listening 3 to 6 with you and Johnny today, 95.3 FM, 1350 AM, the KTIK app, KTIK.com as well. Appreciate your time, man. We'll talk to you next Thursday.
Idaho Sports Talk with you tomorrow. Bronco Nation News Report, 4 o'clock on Idaho Sports Talk. I promise you we won't bump you for a punk rocker this time, BJ.
I hope not. Man. That was one of the low lights of my career, I will say. But appreciate it, Mike. Thanks to JP for helping us get on here, and we'll be listening 3 o'clock today. Thanks to everybody for checking us out. Bronco Nation News.